Hello and welcome to the Viewer's Choice live commentary for License to Drive. You guys picked it. We're going to watch it. And I want you guys to take note of who's here because the three of us care about what you guys want. The other people on this show apparently don't care because they didn't show up. If it's not about them, they don't want to be here. When it's about you guys, they don't care. Okay. We three love and respect the audience. So
Lauren, especially considering he does not want to watch this.
well, Lauren, last week when we had to cancel the show because of sickness, Lauren was absolutely devastated. Lauren, this is one of those movies for Lauren that love doesn't begin to encompass his feelings towards it. You know, Lauren loves this film. He's a huge Corey's fan, loves the Coreys with all of his heart. Let me check and see if we're live. I don't know. There's something weird going on here with Hangouts. Let me make sure that we're live.
I think we are.
Okay. Now, I do want to give you guys fair warning. There is a horrible storm. Okay, we live. Okay. Thank you, Chip. There's a horrible storm coming through right over top of me. So hopefully my power doesn't go out, because then we'll have to do it all over again next week. And Lauren, I know you'd love that, but you know, let's get it all in today. Let's get it all in tonight. So, but anywho, I'm your moderator, Pizzelle. Joining me tonight, I have got Jay the Stingray. What's up, Stingray?
How's it going, guys? Notice I'm here. I have not turned my back on the fans.
What are we drinking tonight, Jay?
This is Met Cafe French roast.
Ah, cool. Very nice. And with me tonight also is Lauren. What's up, man?
I'm good. I have my backup plan. When the movie starts, I can start reading at any point.
What book is that?
That's The Immaculate Void by Brian Hodge. I really recommend it. I've already read it like twice. It's a short book.
Okay.
Again, a modern horror author who's got no reputation in the general audience, but the hardcore horror fans know.
Very nice.
So I actually did see this film on its original release, and that's the last time I saw it, and that wasn't a coincidence.
So you were in the theater when this movie premiered.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Well, like a lot of things in the 80s, there was, a lot of Aquanet in the air and bad tastes and underage drinking. That's pretty much what I remember from License to Drive.
Okay, cool. Very nice. Very nice.
I believe that I walked out saying never again. So apparently this night will make me a hypocrite.
Very cool. Very cool. Now we may have a couple of other people join us tonight. They're running behind, but if they join, they join. If not, then they don't. Let me give some shout outs to everybody who's in the audience right now. We've got our buddy Jer Penn, Joe Bob Tarhill, Dave Shaw, BBQ Network, Chip Pekka, Max Punishment, old buddy Max. How you doing tonight, man? Anthony Anderson, what's up? Hope you guys are all doing well tonight. So we took last week off. Did you guys see any movies? Anything good? Anything bad over our little hiatus?
Trying to think. I know I mentioned to you guys earlier. I saw the man who killed Bigfoot and the man who killed Hitler and then Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
quite a mouthful title, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's a great film.
Yeah, really good movie. If you guys have not seen that, highly recommend it. Really good movie, and definitely not what you would expect from a movie called "The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot."
Well, I mean, just knowing it has Sam Elliott in it kind of piques your interest a little bit, because he's not going to do some stupid asylum movie or whatever.
Yeah, that definitely, his presence alone legitimizes it. So.
I watched another movie I liked quite a bit. another mouthful title. I don't feel at home in this world anymore. You guys seen that one?
It sounds familiar. What's that about?
I think it's a Netflix original.
Oh,
It's
no.
Basically this woman just goes through a bunch of problems with her life and gets so jaded. She gets robbed and she starts going after the criminals herself because the police are worthless. So she just, turns into like a vigilante.
Hmm.
And it's got Elijah Wood in it. And the one of the girls from Heavenly Creatures, I can't remember her name right off, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
It's really, really dark, a dark comedy. And I love that kind of stuff. So
Oh, cool. I've been hearing a lot of talk about this movie that just premiered at South by Southwest called Dave's Not Real or something like that. Oh, geez, what's it called? It's getting a lot of hype. If I can remember what it's called. Anyway, it's getting a lot of hype here lately. I don't know. I can't find it. Something like Dave's Not Real or Dave's Not There, something to that effect. But it's supposed to be really good. I'll have to search it through Halloween 2018 because one of the actors from Halloween 2018 is in it. Here we go. I'll find it. Daniel Isn't Real is what the movie's called. It's getting a lot of buzz. It's supposed to be really good, dark, nihilistic, mind screw, which those are always fun.
yeah, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, that should be cool.
Did you see the trailer for the 6 Alien fan films that are being released?
I didn't see. I heard about them, but I've not seen the trailer.
They look really high quality, which is why it's so surprising. I think what it ended up being is just filmmakers or people who'd worked on film but hadn't been given their shot at actually directing yet, because it looks the values are way too high for it to be truly fan films. But it looks very intriguing. Everything looks like the first film, so that's really a positive thing as far as I'm concerned.
Is Fox putting it out?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like for the 40th anniversary celebration.
That sounds awesome.
I think they're trying to insulate the franchise so it stays alive under Disney, to prove that it can be done at a variety of price points. Because I think that's what a lot of these franchises that are R-rated are going to come down to with Disney is, can they sustain themselves? Because if there's any risk involved, that R rating is just going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I can't imagine an alien movie rated PG-13.
Yeah, that's why you're seeing the video game, feature that they made out of the isolation, and you're seeing there was another like handheld game or something that came out as well. They're trying to keep this franchise alive by showcasing that it's financially stable, whereas something like Predator really doesn't have a lifeline right now.
Yeah. Did you play Alien Isolation, Lauren?
I don't play video games.
Oh.
I don't know why that is. It seems like all my friends are completely immersed, and I don't have an interest. I don't know.
That's one I had to stop playing because it got too scary. It was stressing me out too bad.
Wow.
Like I didn't want to, that's not a fun time for me.
Cool. Wow. Jeez, I may have to. I own it. I've threatened to play it, but I've just not actually put it in and played the thing. So, but yeah.
I mean, check it out. It's very much. I believe it's Ripley's daughter. I believe is how the plot line goes, and it's very much in the same vein as the original film. It looks really cool, and it was really well done, like better than most of the sequels of the films.
Cool. I know. I'm sure you guys are excited about the new Doom movie that's coming out, Doom Annihilation. If you saw that teaser trailer, man, that was mind blowing. What do you guys think about that?
I'm ready. I believe Rambo's watching right now, so I can say, Rambo, I watched your 20-minute trailer reaction to that one. That was pretty funny, man.
I actually, when he stood up and he walked away, that was when I stopped it and I was like, okay, I've got to watch this. So yeah, I don't, I'm not a huge Doom fan. I wasn't a big fan of the first Doom movie, but I kind of thought that maybe they would do like a reboot Dread style. You know what I mean? Smaller, but darker, dirtier, R-rated, and instead it's this. I mean, to further put the nail in the coffin of of video game movies, like I, okay.
It doesn't seem that hard to do. I don't know why they managed to screw it up so bad.
I think it's just the format is so different. I mean, you talk about something that's extremely interactive versus something that's extremely passive.
Right.
So there has to be something really compelling about the narrative, but because they're based on video games, there has to be a lot of action involved. Mm-hmm. And that's completely contrary to the idea of building narrative. Right. I'm sure there's a writer out there that can nail that with the right property, but it just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I mean, people point to things like the first Mortal Kombat film as a success, and I'm like, well, if that's what a success looks like, we're still like, 6 feet under.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the Mortal Kombat movie is that great of a movie, but when that one is heralded as like the best, it's kind of like, so they're really the the line to meet to exceed those expectations isn't that great, I don't think. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't get it, but I guess somebody thought that there was a few bucks to be made out of it, so they're making this one very much on the cheap.
And that may be the way to honestly make money off of it, but doesn't mean it's going to be a good film on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because was anyone crying out for another Doom film? Was that really something that there was a big groundswell for? I don't think so.
I had no idea that a new Doom movie was even in production until I saw Rambo's video. And at first I was like, is this like the new game? Like what's this? I don't get it. But no, it's direct to video movie.
There is a new game coming out sometime soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
A new Doom game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I went back and watched the Rock film from 2005. I watched it maybe a year or so ago, and I didn't hate it quite as much as I did originally. There are a few positive things I can say about it, like when they actually go into the first person viewpoint for it's like a 3-minute sequence at the end of the film. It's really cool looking. But other than that, it's the first mistake they made was casting The Rock. I think that pretty much just turned it into a Rock movie instead of anything else.
Right.
But yeah, it's. I think they overthink these things. I don't know. They overthink and they overspend. I don't know. Same with modern horror movies.
Yeah, because that was like back in its day, that was a hugely expensive movie. That movie cost like over $100 million to make, if I recall correctly. And it made like
45 cents.
Exactly. Yeah. It didn't even begin to make any of that back.
Yeah.
Watch the. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I think the primary thing that Hollywood is getting wrong right now is they still think the model is to throw a lot of money on screen and that the CGI is going to get people into theaters. And the truth is, no one cares anymore.
Right.
They look at a trailer, see if they're compelled, and go for it. But I really think that they should stop selling movies on the movies themselves. They should almost create film small, self-contained scenes or that are in the spirit of the movie and sell it based on that rather than just a bunch of quick MTV style edits of the special effects, which is basically how they're selling movies. I would like to see them get a lot more creative with it. I think it would intrigue people a lot more, but it'll never happen.
Yeah.
I want to see David Lynch make a Doom movie, That's the kind of direction we need to be heading in.
That would be pretty interesting. Have you guys seen the Hellboy, the new Hellboy movie trailer? Are you guys excited for the new Hellboy movie?
I haven't seen the trailer.
I think this trailer looks a lot better than the first one.
Mhm.
It's still not something I'm excited for, but I'm not a fan of the character or anything like that. I will tell you that I think that type of title is self-limiting. They expect these films to get as big as Batman. They're out of their mind. There's no way people in the Bible Belt are interested at all.
Right.
This is a film that will have to make its money on the coasts, and I don't know. I don't see spending the kind of money that they clearly spent on it for something that a third of the country has zero interest in.
Right. He's a demon. I ain't watching that movie.
He might come through the screen.
Yeah. I ain't gonna let that movie possess me. That movie's just about possessing. Oh, goodness gracious.
It's kind of hard for me to not see Ron Perlman in that role. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of those films, but I think he does a good job in the playing the role.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard for me to. It's the guy from Stranger Things, right?
It's the sheriff, from Stranger Things, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like Hellboy. He looks more like the comic version of Hellboy than Ron Perlman did.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. The second trailer definitely kind of nailed the tone, I think, of what it should be. It's dark, but it's also, got a sense of humor about itself. So it could be good. What's that?
And it leaned on Mila, which is always a smart move.
Yeah. Particularly in those foreign markets, because the foreign markets love Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
That's why we got so many of those daggone Resident Evil movies. They were like making no money here in the States, but they were making Star Wars movie money in Asia.
There's a case where they were controlling the budgets, though. Those movies were not nearly as expensive as most of what Hollywood puts out as quote unquote action films.
Right.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that there's going to be a 3-hour ultimate Cabal cut of Nightbreed coming out soon?
Oh, wow. Right. I thought the Cabal cut was the final cut.
The director's cut is what we got on that Stream Factory release. Apparently they found brand new dailies of the movie that have never been seen. And they're going to just cut it all together and create the ultimate Cabal cut, 3 hours Nightbreed.
All right. So I have to be honest. I never even liked Nightbreed, the theatrical. I thought it was a good idea done horribly. And maybe that's studio interference, maybe not. I did watch the Cabal cut, and it was no better. It was just longer. So adding another hour, I don't know who the audience for that is either.
There's an audience for it because there are people ravenous about it. I mean, hardcore Clive Barker fans and stuff like that. But
if they'll send me one for free like they did before, I'll take one.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I like the theatrical version of Nightbreed. I like the director's cut. I think it was interesting to see how just a few really minor changes, and then of course a completely different ending can change an entire movie. You know what I mean? The tone of the movie, and it was pretty interesting. I think just watching the director's cut and seeing how different it was.
This is what I always ask though about that movie in particular. Besides how they look, did you like any of the characters?
Yeah. I mean, I liked I like the David Cronenberg. Oh, you mean like the creatures, the Nightbreed?
Yeah.
Oh, the ones in Midian. Yeah. I mean, I liked I like the guy with the red guy with the tentacle dreads, whatever. Thought he was cool.
But are we talking about like the special effects and what they made him look like, or are we talking about character? Because I don't think there's any characters in that movie.
Well, I don't think there's. Yeah, I don't think. I think the creatures are all about the way they look, less about who they are or what they're about. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of character building for the creatures. So, but yeah. And Ultimate Cabal cut, 3 hours of Nightbreed. That's Craig Sheffer overload, you know. But anyway, Lauren, have you seen anything good lately, or bad, or indifferent?
I haven't seen a whole lot. I did see the Captain Marvel movie, and it's there. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's bad. It's just there. It's very formula. I didn't find it to be as message heavy as I thought it was going to be going in. It's there, but it's not there any more than it's less message movie than Black Panther was. So for what that is, for whatever that's worth, Black Panther's a better movie. But no, I mean, if this is what Marvel is going forward with their origins movies, I probably don't need to rush out. And again, it's not that they're bad. And for, you know what, if I was 14, it'd probably be awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm a long way from 14, so.
Yeah. The thing I hate about the narrative that like Disney and like the media are trying to sell with Captain Marvel is like she's the very first female-led superhero movie. You know, very first. So let's pretend Wonder Woman didn't exist. But not just that she's the first female-led comic book movie, like she's the very first female-led action movie too. So let's forget about those Resident Evil movies with Mila Jovovich. Let's forget about those Underworld movies with Kate Beckinsale. Let's forget about the Terminator movies with Linda Hamilton. Let's forget about the Alien movies with Sigourney Weaver. You know what I mean? Captain Marvel was the first. You know what I mean? Of and like, you know, the major, you know, media companies are running with this story. You know what I mean? They're biting it and running it and perpetuating it. And it's just ridiculous.
Well, but you got to look at what the media did for them for free, as far as advertising for Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear cut where they didn't have to spend money if they just went with this angle, and that's what they did. I mean, it worked. It's hard to argue with the fact that it worked. Thing is, will I watch the movie ever again in my life? That's a really big question, you know. But am I the audience for it? I'm not the key audience for it, so who knows?
Right.
But I would say that they would have done themselves a lot more of a favor by making a great film and then advertising it like that, because it would have shut everyone up. Right now, I think everyone's kind of middle of the road on it, really. Yeah. And again, there's people out there screaming it was going to be the worst thing ever. It's far from the worst thing ever. But we've just had like 20 something of these movies now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything but rave reviews.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been looking for reviews. It's just what I'm seeing, you know, scrolling the internet. Oh, I have zero desire to see it. I'm so burned on superhero movies right now.
Yeah.
I'm just big action, big budget stuff. It just
well, the trailer for the next Avengers movie dropped today too. Everybody's been raving about it. Mm-hmm. I've not seen it yet, but I don't know. I'm just in such fatigue when it comes to those. I've been fatigued. I've been suffering comic book movie fatigue for years now. You know, I'm ready for something new.
I watched probably more in 2018 than I had ever seen before, primarily because I had the movie pass at the time. But I just like burned myself out, man. It's like, sure, I'd love to go see the new Avengers movie and, you know, sleep through half of it like I've done with all the other ones and then wake up for the big battle at the end. But, you know, it's not something I want to do. I'd rather go, you know, rewatch something that I actually like.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, and, you know, Avengers Endgame will just be, it will be the end. It will be the end, but it'll be the beginning. What we'll see after Endgame is just more of these, you know, lesser known characters get their origin story movie building toward their own Avengers movies. And it'll just keep this process going, I'm sure.
Right. But the good news is people once thought that there would be no such thing as Star Wars fatigue either. I mean, eventually it will calm down.
In like 3 short years, everyone hates Star Wars now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Like now, Marvel or I guess Disney Marvel, they own the X-Men now too, right?
Yeah.
On the 20th, I believe it's official. So yeah, that all opened up. The X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Silver Surfer. That's all Disney now.
Sorry, I must have cut out for a second there. So they own all of that stuff now. So now they can produce movies with the X-Men in them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The thing is, though, Disney is very used to this kind of boom and crash throughout their history. We think of like they've always been successful with their animated films, but they got to a point in the late 70s, early 80s where they were losing money on them. I mean, whether it's the Black Cauldron or the Sword and the Stone, even these were films that didn't do nearly what they forecast, and they went live action to family films in the 80s for a reason. So, I mean, they're very good about pivoting when the market changes. So, if people stop showing up to this stuff in the numbers they need with what they spend on them, because I mean, these are $200 million productions for an Avengers film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they're making $2 billion off of it worldwide, but they have to. I mean, to keep all the partners happy and all the separate side deals happy, they have to be this big.
Yeah, I mean, it's the spend $500,000 to make $1 billion. I mean, spend $500 million to make $1 billion.
You know what I'm surprised they haven't gone after? Amblin. That seems like a better match than Marvel any day of the week to me.
That's a good question. There's a very good comment in the comment section tonight from Borderline 11 in which he says a 3-hour license to drive would be great to see. I agree.
Holy fuck.
I agree. Somebody asked me if I was going to Horror Hound this weekend. If I do, it'll probably be Sunday. If I do, I'm on the fence. I don't know if I want to go or not. But if I do, it'll be Sunday.
Piz, did you see that Monster Mania sold out on Saturday in advance?
Oh no,
they were not able to sell tickets at the door.
Ah,
I've never seen that happen before. Not in advance.
I've not either. I have not either.
So I guess that Dolph Lundgren money was out there.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and let's get everything set up for our License to Drive live commentary. We'll give everybody who's going to watch with us at home a few minutes to queue up their own copy of the film, and I'll make some more shout outs here. Johnny Dean is in the chat with us tonight. How are you doing, Johnny Dean? Let's see. Borderline 11, of course, is with us. Seben Segal, how are you tonight, sir? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Any other the Boba Fett's? The Boba Fett's. You enjoyed Summer of '84? Yeah, good flick. Good flick. If you
Baby Herman in the house.
If you enjoyed Summer of '84, I would also recommend The Clovitch Killer. Jacob McCullum is with us tonight. What's up, Jacob? So how about a Fast Times and Slumber Party Massacre 2 double feature commentary? That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I did see the trailer for Brightburn, Joe Bob. Yeah, I thought it looked good. I don't know if it's something I'd rush out to watch in theaters, but I thought it looked good. Jer Penn says Rambo could rant about an apple and I'd be entertained.
Uh-huh. It's too many goddamn seeds in it.
He'd be smashing it, you know what I mean? He'd just be.
The question is, how would he work in a come in peace reference?
After it was smashed into a million pieces, he'd look at it and go, "And you go in pieces." That's how it'd wrap up.
Yeah, I saw he has that poster on his wall now. The what's the other title for it?
What is the other title for that?
Whatever.
One?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. What is the other title for I Come in Peace? Crap. I can't remember. Good movie though. Good flick. Good flick.
Because I find it very hard to believe that everyone in the audience has a copy of this movie.
Well, you know,
they're saying they're queuing up their Blu-rays, Lauren.
I don't. Does this movie have a Blu-ray? Let me go back and remind everybody the poll here. Okay, this was the poll, and these are the results of the poll. And I mean, License to Drive won by pretty much a landslide. License to Drive won with 37% of the vote, and in a distant second place was only received 24% of the vote. So people wanted to watch us watch License to Drive. There's no doubt about it. So,
okay, Sausage Factory Nation. There are people starving in Korea that could have used your $30 that you used on a Blu-ray of License to fucking Drive. You need to think of the morality of your decision. You need to never do this again.
I think they made the perfect decision, personally. But let's see. Is License, does it have a Blu-ray?
Maybe there's Max Punishment says there is a Blu-ray.
Maybe it's like in a different country. Maybe it's like a Region B release or something. Because all I'm seeing here is the DVD.
The Coreys don't exist outside America.
Oh no, the Coreys are like the Mickey Mouse of the '80s. Okay, everybody knows the Coreys. Actually, let's see. Okay. It did get a Blu-ray. It's just long out of print. It got a Anchor Bay Blu-ray, and it's long out of print. Let's see. Here's one available on eBay for $60, which is still a good deal.
Buy now.
Let's see what else. $67.57, $80.
I wish I had a Blu-ray of this film now. I would sell it.
$85, $89. Let's see. That's it. That's the highest one is $89 with $8.99 to ship. It's brand new and factory sealed. Wow.
Why do I think Heather Graham is selling her copy?
Surely you don't mean Heather Graham needs the money.
No.
Roller Girl? No.
She's probably the most accomplished actor in the film.
Well, you're forgetting about Martin Mull.
I probably am forgetting about him. There might be a reason.
All right, guys, let's
it's gonna be a long night.
Yeah, it is.
all right, let's get things started here, guys. All right. Gonna count down. We're all at zero at the very beginning, 0.00. Let's see, where's my earbud here so I can hear.
Is the first thing that comes up for you the 20th Century Fox logo?
Yeah, it's all pixelated, but it's up.
Just making sure. I had a bunch of crap before that. I'm watching this on Stars.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's count down here. In 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. Yeah, there's the pixely 20th Century Fox logo.
I'm already invested.
Great music, the animated titles. Oh my God. This brings back a lot of memories. Love this movie growing up. Baby, you can drive my car.
This should not happen to the Beatles ever.
Where were you? How old were you when this movie was coming out? How old were you when you saw this movie in the theater, Lauren?
It was 88, so I was 16, 17, something like that, right?
Okay.
Maybe a little. I was in high school, definitely.
Okay. What about you, Lauren? Or what about you, Stingray? How old were you in 88?
8.
Neil Tolkien, the writer, he's actually related to J.R.R. Tolkien. Not a lot of people know that. He is the more accomplished writer in the family.
Which is why he had to appear at The Hague for war crimes for making this film.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I was like the perfect age for this film. I probably watched it when I was around 10. I don't know, 11, something like that.
Well, I mean, everybody knows how much I love The Lost Boys. Mm-hmm. So the two Coreys could do no wrong in my book after The Lost Boys.
Well, they should have been lost after this movie, before this movie came out.
But Lauren, what's your thoughts on Lost Boys?
I like it. I don't love it. I like it.
Okay.
Oh man, look at that guy.
Very Nightmare on Elm Street 2 kind of vibe going on here.
Exactly. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Oh, we could run with that theme, actually.
Look at that hair.
This is right at the very beginning of what I call the dangle earring phase, where they get earrings that they get progressively longer and longer. And Corey Haim rocked them quite often.
And Heather Graham, Heather Graham is still a looker to this day. You know what I mean? I actually think Heather Graham looks better today than she did back then.
Man, I feel like such a creep looking at her now. Good God, how old was she there?
She's gotten better with age.
There's no way a school bus would only be numbered 5, by the way. I'm clearly a little bit behind you guys because my copy didn't start exactly when I pushed play.
Okay.
He just hopped out of the window and he's running.
Yeah, he just jumped out the window of the bus.
Yeah, he's still working on it. There's a very good chance that very bad things were happening in Mr. Haim's life about the time he made this, right?
Yes.
Are we talking like drug addiction or
that too?
Worse than that.
Well, I think a lot of things were going on in his life around this time.
Yeah,
a lot of bad things.
Was it then? Okay, I thought it was before then. Like,
the entry is not a lot. When was the first Haim movie?
Was it Lucas?
It had to be Lucas.
So what's that? 84?
Probably.
So
this is 88. Yeah, I think
it's really a shame that he's not alive to talk about that more, so we could actually hold some people accountable.
Yeah, really. Yep.
It's a shame he's not alive anyway, because I really like a lot of the guy's films, but that's another reason that it's a shame he's gone. Well,
that's this whole idea that Hollywood is still not in any kind of check. So this is going on right now.
It boggles my mind that is the case. Yeah,
it's money, man.
I mean, Bryan Singer is still making films and not in prison.
Yeah,
but he's not making Red Sonja.
Yeah, he's not making Red Sonja.
Oh, he's not.
I think the point is to don't put your kids in showbiz.
No fucking way you could light a cigarette with a convertible, man. With a match?
No.
Get out of here with that. Sorry. That was the biggest thing I called bullshit in that whole sequence.
So this would get the film, just the smoking would get the film an R-rated, right?
It would today.
But ironically, you could show these kids burn alive in the car for a PG-13.
It's true.
And it would have been a better movie.
How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that's warranted?
Smoking? Getting an R rating, you mean?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I mean, we watched Looney Tunes, right? Where fucking Bugs Bunny smoking a cigar, you know?
Right, exactly.
And we're extremely violent.
Right. Well, when I was a kid, I mean, I can remember watching like Muppet Babies on Saturday morning TV, and like, there's a Marlboro Man commercial.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
I'm never convinced that any kind of prohibition ever works. So I think making it more difficult to see only makes it more attractive to those people who are impressionable to it anyway.
exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, again, we talk about our love of dumb films from when we were young. Part of that is because they were exclusive, that they were not as easy to come by. There's a reason we have fond memories of those big boxes at the video stores, right? There's a connotation that it was something we shouldn't be anywhere near.
Mm.
It made it more attractive. So I think hiding smoking is more of an encouragement.
Yeah, I think like just naturally it's becoming less popular. There's no reason to give it some sort of extra incentive to want to try it.
Yeah.
I mean, telling
Like
me not to do something was one good way of making me do something.
Exactly. Like I was in middle school when the whole Dare thing was big. You guys remember Dare?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And all we did was talk about how cool drugs were. Like of course, none of us had ever even smoked a cigarette, but all we talked about were how cool drugs were. After sitting through a class about how awful they are and how they destroy people's lives, you know what I mean? So
I don't think I would have been nearly as curious if it wasn't for that Ronald Reagan Dare campaign,
Yeah.
To be completely honest, if I was high, this movie would be better.
Oh, of course it would. I think if you were asleep, this movie would be better, right?
In a nice warm coma, it'd be perfect.
But there's the great Corey Feldman. And there's Martin Mull. It is Martin Mull, right?
I'm not sure.
This is Corey Feldman trying to ape Tom Cruise. He is not yet trying to ape Michael Jackson.
Which he's still trying to do. Not to go too far off topic, you guys seen Leaving Neverland?
Please go off topic.
No, I've not. But
Really?
I really have no desire to.
4 hours of it, I can't do it.
Well, I mean, if you've ever questioned it,
I never did.
I don't think those. I think those guys are BS. To be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd say watch it then. It's going to change your mind.
Well, I mean, Michael Jackson was chemically castrated as a kid. So I mean, I don't. He would get no sexual pleasure out of anything.
How does that work? That's first I've heard that.
Yeah, his doctor admitted that when he was a little boy, Joe Jackson had him chemically castrated so he could retain that voice, that singing voice.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Jackson's a piece of work, huh?
Uh-huh.
I think it's difficult to know for sure. So that's my answer has always been I wasn't there, thankfully. But I think just even if there was nothing sexual happening, it was still a deeply, deeply troubling situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to let my kid sleep with any grown man. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that alone is just insane.
Yeah.
But,
and clearly some damage came out of the other side, whether, again, abuse happened or not. So I don't know. I just don't need 4 hours to make up my mind on it. No one should care what I think anyway. What? It's baffling to me that mustaches were still kind of like a going thing by the late 80s. I associate that with an earlier era.
70s.
Yeah. Maybe up to 82.
And my dad rocked a mustache until like 3 years ago. Always wanted the big Magnum PI, the Tom Selleck.
Oh yeah,
his upper lip's like 3 inches long, so it's just a massive mustache.
It is enormous. Yeah,
very cool.
That always came off to me as like Tom Selleck became a star because they couldn't afford Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, yeah.
Why does this movie exist?
It was the 80s and the two Coreys. That's all you need to know.
So why did people like have fond memories of the 80s? Because I don't. I lived through all of them, and I don't have fond memories of the 80s.
Nostalgia?
Yeah, my memories of the 80s are mostly movies of the 80s and music of the 80s. And this was a movie that I watched often during the 80s.
Is that a Volkswagen Rabbit?
He straight up kissed his mom on the lips in front of that place.
And of course, I mean, every house party I ever went to as a teenager looked exactly like this.
You're 100% joking, right?
Yeah,
yes.
We always get that shit so wrong. It wasn't 20 guys really depressed in a basement with a keg. And I'm sorry, these type of parties would not have balloons. There's no way.
That's all like a 45-year-old production designer who's ripped on blow. He's like, just get some balloons in here with those long strings.
And we want them all to be pastel colors.
Exactly. Pastel. He's like, it is the 80s, damn it. Make them pastel.
What's this art on these walls too, man? Christ, it's like the dentist office exploded.
Oh, this guy has an odd earring, like a cuff type thing, going around the side. Nice choice. Goes with that mullet.
You know, I haven't had a legit nightmare in probably 10 years, but this is going to do it. Where's Orc?
That guy's like 40 years old, right?
He's like 40 years old, yeah. Yeah. And she's supposed to be like, what, 16, 17?
Oh, man, that's terrifying. So how do you feel about stuff like Weird Science, Lauren?
There's stuff I love in Weird Science. I can't say I love the movie all the way through. I feel that way about a lot of stuff. Like Breakfast Club's another one. I love the first half of Breakfast Club, hate the second half. A lot of really 80s-centric films are really hard for me to watch all the way through. Because I don't have that nostalgia thing for them. Even in horror films, like I'm a bigger 70s guy than I am 80s guy. Big time. And everything after the Nightmare on Elm Street effect hits horror films, they have a high bar for me to really love. The first half of the decade where it's gritty and mean, I love. Once it gets silly and they're trying to appeal to the mainstream, much fewer. Sorry, this doesn't make any sense. It's harder for me to find films I love towards the end of the decade. This film that probably exists in a perfect vacuum of my least favorite part of the 80s. That whole 87 to 89 period where it was just obnoxious in its like self-absorbed nature.
But at the same time, I mean, you were an angsty teen. You know what I mean? I'm probably very rebellious. You know what I mean, right? And this was just too mainstream at the time.
These were the kids I hated in school, no question about it.
It seems really similar to the way Mike talks about the 80s and the 90s too.
Well, see, I love the 90s though. I mean, I was running record stores in the 90s, so I love the 90s. Going to see a lot of bands for free. Just it was a better period for me, even though the horror genre was in a nightmarishly bad situation for most of the 90s. But music was in a great place. The culture was a lot less annoying than the 80s to me. I'm supposed to be an 80s kid, but I just can't pull it off.
So, what's your guess on a Rotten Tomatoes score on this film?
Ooh.
I would say if it's below 100%, it can't be trusted.
I'm going to say it's the 70.
17%.
Ooh, a rare occasion where Rotten Tomatoes is
That's
right.
really low.
That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
91% of Google users like this film.
There you go. Google got it right.
I'm about to review bomb Google.
6.3 on IMDb, which is not too bad.
Okay, but so again, how much nostalgia is driving that, and how much is it?
Sure, yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm not, blind. I know that that's one of the reasons why I like a lot of these films is because of nostalgia. It reminds me of simpler times.
It reminds me of mini skirts. Again, I'm about a minute behind you guys.
License plate, Grandpa. I feel like they're intentionally not putting a lot of makeup on her to make her look even younger.
Yeah. Jerpin says, I have no nostalgia with License to Drive. I seen it a few years ago, and I just think it's an excellent film. There you go.
And I think it's important that everyone be allowed to have their own opinions, especially when they're wrong.
TK Meredith says that the 80s kicked ass. I was born in the 80s, 1986 to be exact. I would love to go back in the early 80s. It was so much fun back then.
What is their basis on that?
So Heather Graham would have been 18 in this, right?
Like for real?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not sure.
I would
on the release date, she was 18.
I would assume that she would have to be at least 18 when she made this movie.
Well, when she everybody.
Cameron, what's up?
When she tried to be in Heather's in 1989, and her parents would not let her do that, and so she then emancipated from her parents through Drugstore Cowboy. So I think she was still underage. I think she was 17 when she did License to Drive. That was a year before.
Would she have been Heather McNamara?
Yeah, she was going to be the one, either Heather Duke or Heather McNamara, which one of those other two.
Oh, I love this with the dad and the Pampers.
So many diapers.
I know.
I remember when Siskel and Ebert reviewed this movie, they liked the first third of this film and they didn't like it afterwards. They thought it could have gone very much like a Scorsese After Hours if they had played it serious and dark.
Oh, that's a good movie.
That is a good movie. Some people are asking about B-Movie Mike in the chat. I talked to B-Movie Mike the other day. He's going through some he's busy. He's a busy man.
Is it close enough, guys?
What's that? Oh, there. There you go. But yeah, B Movie Mike is he says he appreciates everybody's kind words. He's watching, but he's you know, he's a busy man. So
shout out to you, Thunderthroat.
yeah.
Do you think that this movie is the movie that they set out to make, or do you feel like the performers got like a decent script and just elevated the material with their gonzo performances?
Elevated?
Well, you know, I think it is better than it could have been.
They elevated it like a elevator on the 85th floor that has its wire cut.
Wow. That's like $1 million worth of computers right there, guys.
Yeah. For 1988, yep, that's like $1 million worth of computers. Do you guys remember taking your driver's exams and the road tests and all that good stuff? You guys remember that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. The only test I ever studied for.
I failed the first driving test because I missed a yield sign.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was the one thing they got me on. So,
you know, I have only parallel parked the way you're supposed to parallel park one time in my life. It was during the test. I was shocked that I actually did it right. Because I was always told that, you know, when you're doing the road test, you know, if you do everything else right, as you know, just ask him or whoever is the instructor, do we have to do the parallel park? And most of the time he'll tell you, no, just go on back. I asked him that and he's like, yeah, pull right there and do it right there. And I was like, God almighty. The only time I've ever done it, I nailed it somehow. And that was it. Never parallel parked like that again.
That's a common occurrence in California, unfortunately.
Really?
When I was working in Patterson and Newark, New Jersey, I used to have to do it all the time. And in extreme urban situations where the roads are only wide enough for one car to begin with, people are double parked all over the place. Nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't miss it at all.
Forget about parallel parking. What they need to teach you is when you get boxed in by two cars, how you get out when you like have to inch back, inch forward, inch back, inch forward. That's the pain in the ass right there.
They need to teach you to get the fuck out of the left lane if you're going to go below the speed limit.
There you go. Yep.
It's like you guys had to take the test too, right? You had to read this shit and pass the test. Why do you not know that? That drives me crazy.
My cousin, when he took his driver's test in Chicago, they actually made him do the entire thing one-handed while eating fast food.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah, because they said, well, this is how a lot of people drive. So show us what you can do.
What now? It will be texting? I want you to send a full text while you parallel park.
Well, I'm sorry. It wasn't the driver's test. It was driver's training. He would like get them food, make them drive that way. That's why I like that scene in Summer School where Dean Cameron's taking his driver's test and he's like, "Sir, what are you doing?" Well, this hand's free to put around the babes, you know.
Cameron, I love your shirt.
What?
I love the shirt.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, are they ever going to make the third one?
No.
I don't remember. I think I saw Night Watch. Maybe I saw Day Watch. I can't remember which one. I only saw one though.
I remember when Night Watch came out, Fangoria at the convention came out. Tony Timpone came out and said, "This is the Russian Matrix. Get ready for an epic trilogy." And then we didn't get the trilogy.
He came to America and started making movies, right?
Yeah, he did that Wanted movie, right? I think.
And the vampire Lincoln.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire.
Oh, yeah. That masterpiece.
But so the books that they're based on, it's really funny. It's like they're basically 3 novellas in each quote unquote novel, and the first two movies, both movies are really just the first novella. So they have so much material to work from. It's not funny.
This driving instructor is awesome.
Well, I love how like the sister gets taken on, through like Mayberry,
Right.
and he gets taken like through the hood.
And his sister is Casey Samasco's sister, Nina Samasco, who, of course, Casey was in 3 O'Clock High and Back to the Future and all that. He was a different kind of 80s guy.
This is weird to me, though, that this cup on the dashboard thing, because I've never seen a cup from 7-Eleven that's that small, even back then.
You get 60 ounces of coffee.
It's called humor.
Only if it's funny.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, it's very subjective.
Well, I remember when I was practicing for my driver's test in my buddy's car, and he just kept saying like, "Relax, man, relax," And I was like, "Oh man, I'm going to fail this." And he goes, "Look at all the people out there who they've got their license. They can't read, they can't write. You know what I mean? You're just driving, man. You know what I mean?" So I was thinking like, yeah, if these people can get their license, I should have no problem.
Do we know what the budget for this film was? I mean, I know it's $1987, $88, but it had to have been decent because the movie begins, even though it's a cover, it is a cover of a Beatles song. And Michael Jackson owned the rights at that time. So for them to get that must have cost them a pretty penny.
Well, I mean, the Corys were big back then.
Right.
They were box office gold.
Oh, yeah. But this to me is like the height, right? I mean, like Lost Boys was huge, and then License Drive was the height. Dream a Little Dream is when it started crashing.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was only a year later. 8 million box office, or that's how much it made, or that was the budget?
Budget.
Well, because the opening begins with all these, explosions and things like that they could have easily taken out of the film, They didn't have to make that dream sequence so epic at the beginning.
Oh my God, that fell apart.
In the U.S.
How much did it make?
22.
Yeah, it's not bad. I saw it opening weekend. I remember it played at the 70 millimeter screen in town. So.
I bet it made a ton of money on VHS rentals, though.
Oh yeah, I guarantee it.
I had so many friends back in the day that would like record it off HBO, and that thing just got eaten up through people's VCRs,
Yeah, certain parts of it, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Basically, the VCRs was trying to save humanity.
Yeah. Well, any movie that has Jane Wielden's Rush Hour can't be all bad, Lauren.
Is anything all bad?
I mean, would you rather than buy a Blu-ray of this film or of like Couples Retreat?
Couples Retreat.
Oh God!
Wow!
Oh, dude!
Wow!
That movie's not even trying.
How old were you in '88, Cameron?
12. I was the Team B audience. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Right, because it was like 88 was the height. Because I was way into my Debbie Gibson like idolies, and I adored her, and so I bought all those magazines and stuff, and of course the Corys. But see, the thing is, though, I was still a huge movie buff back then. So when everyone was talking about Corys and License to Drive, I was still thinking Final Chapter and Lucas. I mean, like I'd followed them through Murphy's Romance, and Corey was in. God, I can't remember. He was in another movie as like a little kid, and I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it wasn't Silver Bullet, was it?
No, that was Corey Haim.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I knew that, but Feldman, he was like really little in a movie, and I'm trying to think. I keep thinking Irreconcilable Differences, but that's Drew Barrymore. But he was in something. Oh, he was in Gremlins, and things like that. So, and of course Goonies. I mean, so they were. It was like they made their names separately, and then once they got together, it kind of destroyed them. Even though for like 2 movies, it was like really cool. It's just like by the time you get to that, what was that like half porno they made in the 90s? It was like a really bad like thriller drama, but it was like all sex. It was terrible. I mean, that was just like really bad. But I don't know. I don't think they. I guess they took away the wrong lessons from the Lost Boys and just paired them together, because the Lost Boys, you could have done a lot of different things with that. You know, put Jamie Gertz in a few more good movies. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I could never watch Dream a Little Dream. That was one I could never watch.
I don't know if I ever watched it either. I don't know if I ever.
It's not good.
I remember bits and pieces of it.
I hate to say this, but if you put the two of them together, Corey Haim needed to be the lead and Feldman the supporting. I can't handle Feldman as the star with Haim as the supporting.
Well, and it was Feldman in that at the beginning of his Michael Jackson look-alike phase.
That was my issue. They kept showing on Nickelodeon. They kept showing that dance scene in the gym, and I was like, I cannot do this. I can't do this. You know.
You know they made a sequel to it.
Yes, they did. Did that one star Mrs. Patton Oswalt too?
I'm not sure.
But what you're basically saying is, if you have both brain cancer and liver cancer, which one you want to take you first?
I wasn't able to get very far into the second installment. I was planning on doing a review on my channel of it, and I just couldn't get very far.
I couldn't even watch The Lost Boys 2 and 3, and apparently they're both in those movies too, or at least part 2.
What, he shows up for like 3 minutes at the end?
Yeah, Haim shows up for like 3 seconds at the end of the second one.
If you guys want to see something interesting, watch that show they made, whatever it was called.
The Two Coreys.
Two Coreys, because they're filming that while they're shooting that scene, and it goes into detail. Like, he got all like, I don't know, it's like he had stage fright or something. He just took a bunch of drugs.
Yeah.
Even though he was clean at the time, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think he had a lot of issues. I mean, obviously he had a lot of issues, but
yeah.
Because, he wanted to do the movie, and he was supposed to be in that movie a lot more than he was.
Yeah. Well, and, you said it earlier, Stingray. I mean, Haim, if Haim were alive today, I mean, he could be the face of like the male Me Too movement of like, child actors who are being exploited and abused by Hollywood.
And now, according to today, Johnny Depp is that face.
Oh, I heard about that. What was that now?
It's apparently he's come out with a lot of proof and a lot of people coming forward. LA police saying that that Amber Heard like shit in his bed and cut off his finger and so he's suing her for $50 million and all this other stuff. Yeah, oh yeah. But like he's got hospital pictures of them reattaching his finger and stuff like that. It's like, yeah. So
he's got a bunch of security footage too, like surveillance camera stuff.
So Twitter's apologizing to him right now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Who would have thought, little Amber Heard was such a monster?
Yeah, but I don't really see him doing it either, though. He doesn't seem like the type. I mean, he's so soft spoken, and
he was with Vanessa Paradis for like 20 years. She doesn't have one story of abuse. I mean, yes, people can change and people can be explosive with other people, but there just wasn't history for that level of what Amber was saying. He was gay. I don't know the meat. Who knows what they're like behind closed doors, but
Listen, after those pirate movies, I might cut a finger off them too.
I just remember the horror story I heard about Amber Heard was that after the Mandy Lane movie, she thought she got really big in her head. And then when she was doing that Drive Angry movie with Nicolas Cage, I was told that they were going to shoot this big scene and she was going to have this big monologue, and she showed up to set and she said, I'm not saying that. I'm not memorizing it. I'm not doing that. I'm going to say this instead. And they, just to make the day, they went, okay, fine. After she threw a tantrum about it. And when I hear that kind of story, I lose all respect for actors, because I'm like, no, you're paid to say this. You're getting money to say this. Say this, So, diva. And I would say that about a male that did that too. You're hired to, do what the director asks you to do, not.
Yeah, you're here to do a job. Do your fucking job.
Yeah.
How are we only 40 minutes into this movie?
Oh, has it only been 40 minutes?
Let's see. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's just.
Dude,
I was passing so fast.
Lauren's looking at the time like he's got the gas chamber coming up in an hour. He's like,
yeah, but I'm looking towards that gas chamber with longing.
It's 40 minutes of pure bliss. So, I mean, can you really count that? I mean,
so the last 40 minutes of Martyrs are more pleasant viewing experience than this.
Is this your Martyrs? Are you going to be enlightened by the end of this movie, floating in?
I actually like Martyrs, so
yeah. I'm surprised Orc isn't here tonight. I expected to hear.
He would be shit talking Martyrs right now for sure.
Well, I actually just mentioned Martyrs in hopes that it made him appear because I've been bothering him on Twitter all night to be here. As of literally 7 hours ago, he told me he was going to just show up, that he didn't have a copy of the movie. He's just going to show up and pretend,
Wow.
which I think is perfectly in character. But
I've sent him his pink slip, and he's been fired. So
is that the 5th time this year?
It's 3 strikes and you're out. So
I think this may be his first termination this year, at least.
Wasn't there like a big thing like where people kept commenting like "Where's Orc? Where's Orc?" last time or something?
Everybody loves Orc.
So Cameron, was she 18 when they shot this?
Heather Graham? I'll check. I don't think she was, but I will make sure.
I believe she was 18 when it was released. So she was close. She was either 18 or close to it. I guess close counts and more things than just hand grenades.
She was 18 when it was released. Yeah. So.
What?
In 88. So she was born in 70. So she's almost 50 this year.
Still looking good.
Oh yeah. I remember though, because Twin Peaks was going to be canceled, and they pushed it off for many, many months, and then they brought it back. And I remember a friend at the time called me up and says, "That girl from License to Drive is coming to the show." I was like, "What the hell?"
it was Heather Graham and Billy Zane to save the day.
They did save the day, actually, but no. But yeah.
Matthew Lillard saved the day.
In what?
In Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
Oh, in 3rd season.
Do me a favor, Cameron. Do not mention Twin Peaks while this piece of shit is playing.
Well, just because Heather Graham was,
No.
Well, I mean, because Twin Peaks can't hold a candle to this.
No, this is linear storytelling.
Oh, Lauren's gone.
David Lynch watches this movie and he wishes he could make this kind of art. Wishes.
I want to see a remake by David Lynch.
Oh my God! Wow.
Hey, remember, David Lynch was hired by Universal Pictures to be the first director of Fast Times at Richmond High, and he read the script. He read Cameron Crowe's script and said, "I don't think this is my kind of material," and gave it back. But
and that was years before Eraserhead, right?
No, that was 82.
Oh, okay. You said Fast Times? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He also met with Lucas about Return of the Jedi.
Yes, he did.
How much different that movie would have been, and better probably.
It probably would have been the same movie because Lucas directs him. So.
I can't imagine that the conversations there though.
No, but he jumped ship and went to Dune, so obviously he was in that mode.
Oh, the right move.
Look, hear me out. Jodorowsky's License to Drive.
Yes. Now, aren't you a little shocked though that License to Drive hasn't been remade in all the remakes that they've do? I'm surprised they never did a License to Drive 2 straight to DVD. I mean, they're coming out with Backdraft 2 that's coming this month. With what's his name? Billy Baldwin is back.
Oh, great.
He wasn't doing anything else.
And Donald Sutherland is showing up again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they must have paid him a couple $1 million.
Man,
Backdraft 2. But yeah, License to Drive 2, I'm shocked they never made, even if it was a straight to DVD thing. and I'm shocked that they've never done a remake, because it's kind of a timeless thing you could do. Everybody has to get a driver's license at 16.
I'm about to hate myself for saying this, but in this scene, again, I'm about a minute behind you guys, but in this scene, I could see him playing a young, as the band began, John Lydon from the Pistols. I really could.
Who's this?
Johnny Rotten.
No, I know, but who playing?
Haim.
Who?
Haim.
Oh, Haim.
I could see Haim at this age, playing just as the band was beginning.
Yeah,
the face is there.
I mean, if you see Lucas before he got into the drugs and stuff, I mean, the guy could handle a 3-dimensional performance. I mean, Lucas is top-notch acting.
Yeah, I mean, let's take the drugs out of it. I feel like he made bad decisions, or his agent made bad decisions. Like he never really got out of the teen, you know. Right. He was so typecast as this type of role. He was never like a man, you know. He was never like a grown man, you know, in a film. Mm-hmm. It never worked, which happens to a lot of people. But
it's like, but then look at somebody like Keanu Reeves, right? Because the teen films he was doing, yes, he did Bill and Ted, but he also did Permanent Record and River's Edge in the height of the teen years.
And My Old Private Idaho also.
Yeah, and then, you know, Parenthood and stuff like that. But then he kind of just, you know, then he comes back with like Point Break and Speed, and so he like transitioned himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't even think Feldman tried. I think once he got into that Michael Jackson phase, he's still like trying to do that band thing with his Angels and stuff.
Well, I mean, it's like The Burbs, and then what? Like nothing, right?
Right. And he only did The Burbs because of Joe Dante. And the ironic thing is Corey Feldman was so big at the time that he's the reason why The Burbs got funded.
Wow.
So not even Tom Hanks could fund The Burbs. It was Feldman's participation.
Wow. Because Tom Hanks wasn't quite big yet, right?
Well, he was big, but he wasn't. I mean, he was coming off The Man with One Red Shoe and things like that, you know. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you put Feldman in your movie today, that's not guaranteed funding.
No.
You know what I'm really surprised?
That might take funding away.
I'm surprised someone hasn't gotten the concept to get all these tainted actors, all of them, in one movie and just promote it as a huge shit fest. Because, you know, if you had all your Buseys and your Feldmans, and I mean, really just casting a movie chock full of those type of actors, people would show up for that. Lindsay Lohan.
Isn't that like Sharknado is what you're describing?
Well, that Sharkopolis movie, whatever. I mean, they cast Debbie Gibson and Tiffany in it, right? I mean, so they were playing off that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, if they could do like not another teen movie type of thing, but have it wall to wall with all the 80s and 90s actors, I'm curious what that would do. It'd probably go straight to Netflix.
It wouldn't cost much. Not really.
Well, you never know. If these people charge a lot to go to conventions now and charge for their autograph, I can only imagine if you're making it based entirely off their names, what they might ask for.
Yeah. That's a Jersey plate in that cab. In the cab of that truck. Which makes no sense, by the way. But
if there's one actor from the 80s that I wish could make a serious comeback in movies, would be Judd Nelson. Because I think if he came back now as like sort of a Charles Bronson type of, I think he could do like hardcore action. I could see him as John Wick. But I do think it's interesting, License to Drive. I mean, like Richard Mauser, Carol Kane. I mean, casting these kind of actors as the parents. I mean, yeah, they're goofy comedians, but they've also shown their chops in good horror films. I mean, When a Stranger Calls and The Thing and It and that kind of thing. So, I mean, so they are capable actors. So, but I think everybody was jumping at the chance to be in a guaranteed hit film, which License to Drive. I mean, all those things like Teen Beat and 16, all them. They were the advertisements for License to Drive. You know, and MTV definitely with Chris Connolly's The Big Picture.
Well, they did. There was a music video for the movie. Can't remember what song it was.
It was Get Out of My Dreams. Get in my
Yeah,
car.
yeah. That's it. That's it. Yep.
Trust me. I spent a lot of time watching MTV back in those days.
What's the M stand for?
Billy Ocean.
The M stands
Billy Ocean.
For docuseries.
Back then it stood for music. Now I don't know what it stands for.
I can't even think of a good joke answer.
There's no.
Well, I mean, imagine back in late 80s, this time when this movies came out, what if Facebook and Twitter was around then and Instagram? I mean, how big would the Coreys have been then? Because I mean, they were huge before social media.
Yeah, but it's different now because like it's younger. So like the modern equivalent would probably be the Jonas Brothers, and so you'd have to back that back by because the 16-year-old girls could be into this then. 16-year-old girls are not into this now. It's like,
what are they into now?
They're adult. just probably the Marvel movies, frankly. But this would be more like a 12, 13, 14-year-old female audience today.
Would you say? I know you don't like this, but I'm just trying to do a slight comparison. I'm nowhere saying that they're the same quality at all, but I almost think License to Drive was a vehicle for the Coreys, obviously, like A Hard Day's Night was for the Beatles. Like, let's capitalize off these two guys' huge fame, and let's exploit it for 2 hours, and they did it. And then they did Dream a Little Dream afterwards, and it didn't do very well. I think for like 2 years they were huge. I wonder if they had just done the Lost Boys and then just gone back to doing their own solitary work, I think they would have had longer careers.
And I think one of them would be alive today.
Yeah.
But these were exploitation movies. The whole teen genre were straight exploitation films. They didn't feature the more exploitative elements that we usually associate, but they were definitely just stunt casted and put out. The difference, I don't know. I have problems with movies like this because I don't honestly think if you don't have memories of this that go back decades, that this holds any water for anyone. I really don't see this as legitimate good, even good bad film. It's a time capsule of a time where I don't want to remember.
And this is just only on DVD. They never put this on Blu-ray, correct?
It got a Blu-ray release, but it's long out of print at this point.
Oh, okay.
Long out of print at this point. Oh, thank you, Jerpin, for the super chat, my friend.
It's always nice when viewers discover that button.
Yes, thanks, Jerpin. Appreciate that.
Just trying to figure out here. So these guys were they were on like the cover of like Tiger Beat and stuff. Is that right? They were like heartthrobs for like young girls or young women, right. I guess. Okay.
But only after Lost Boys. Before Lost Boys, they weren't, because I mean they were little. All right, they were doing Goonies and Murphy's Romance and Silver Bullet, and I mean Corey Haim went right after this. He tried to recapture that Silver Bullet thing with Watchers, and that thing just kind of blew up in his face. Because I think people realized Dean Koontz was no Stephen King. So
I remember liking Watchers, but that's another one. It's been 20 years since I've seen it, probably.
Yeah, I like Watchers.
Yeah. So isn't it interesting that both Coreys, in a way, had one foot in horror, and then they were then brought into the Lost Boys, which was horror comedy, and then they transitioned into comedy and then stayed in comedy.
Again, it's still exploitation, right? So it was a clear path towards what they thought was more, respectable exploitation.
So the Lost Boys was rated R. I just can't see how were young girls even aware of these guys.
The video release was huge. I mean that cover in the video stores of Kiefer and Jamie Gertz and Jason Patrick. And you have to look real. And Corey Feldman's not even on the poster. I mean, Haim is way in the background. But that movie was just. I mean, that just reeked MTV. Yeah, back just with everybody's long hair, and of course, everyone's favorite greased up saxophonist.
Well, I probably rented Lost Boys I spent thousands of dollars back in the day just myself renting the Lost Boys. So I mean,
yeah. And remember, even in Reservoir Dogs, when Tim Roth is doing that big story about the drug deal, he's like, "Motherfucker, I'm watching the Lost Boys." Don't you?
Yeah.
So even Quentin Tarantino was aware of how big the Lost Boys was.
And the Lost Boys was marketed as, sleep all day, party all night. It's fun to be a vampire. That is a teen movie tagline.
Mm-hmm. And it's a horror movie for teens who don't like horror movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So. And of course, that movie was filmed in mostly in Santa Cruz, California. Now Jordan Peele's new film Us is all in Santa Cruz, California. So I think Jordan Peele purposely did that as an ode to Lost Boys. They just called it Santa Carla instead of Santa Cruz, but it's the same town. In fact, the opening credits, all those people walking around, those are just people walking around Santa Cruz. Those aren't extras for the film.
Doesn't Us come out soon?
Yeah, either this weekend or next weekend.
I may have to go check that out.
I've heard some good things. I've
heard very good things, yeah. A lot of people in the chat, Lauren, are not understanding why you hate this movie so much.
Have they not heard him talk about aliens?
No.
They think you're just hating it for no reason, man.
No reason. Are they watching the movie as well?
I think because they chose this film, they want to hear positivity.
No, they chose it. Torture us.
Oh, no way those people sleep in that bed together.
Every time I see him, I don't care what the movie is. Every time I see him, I think of him in the bathtub. You know what I mean? Bled out. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, I whenever I see him, I just think of him in the bathtub, bled out. You know what I mean?
And he was only in that movie for like a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Which one is that?
It.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which I wonder how they're going to handle that in chapter 2.
He was Richie.
He was
no, he was Eddie.
He was the
Stan.
Stan. Yeah, Stan.
Oh crap, he was Stan. Okay.
The one who's a Jew who says "oi" a lot.
Right.
That's how he's introduced.
But yeah, I wonder how they're going to do that in It Chapter 2, because in the book it's a lot more graphic than the miniseries.
From what I understand, It Chapter 1 being so big of a hit is they're definitely going to retain the kids again in the second one. So the adults may not be in it as much as they might go back to the Godfather 2 back and forth style for the second one.
Yeah, and the source material, the second half is weaker anyway. All the adult stuff is much weaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they'd be smarter to lean on the kids again.
I know we're way off topic here, but I just want to know why they took. I mean, they made Ben the town historian as opposed to the African American kid. It makes so much more sense in the original miniseries for the town librarian to have that knowledge, because by doing it, by making it Ben's trait, it left nothing for the other kid to do.
And he was my favorite character in the book.
I still say it's one of my least favorite of the early King novels. I do think it's the best version of that story that will ever happen is the film we just got. I mean, the miniseries is very much of its time too.
Right.
And it's even cut too. I completely forgot that. And since they combine it into one thing now, they've lopped off the very beginning of part 2 because it had like credits and things like that. So they took out a couple scenes at the beginning to make it flow it as one piece more. I mean, we're talking about nostalgia. Do you remember going into the bookstores and seeing it like on the shelf with the gutter with the little green hand coming, and just seeing how big that book? I mean, when I was a kid, that thing looked like the Bible. It was like, oh my god, who could read this thing?
I was always put off by the length.
Yeah.
Or when they released the director's cut of The Stand on the as a book, it was like it was so huge.
I watched that when it was on television, though.
Which one? The original?
The Stand, yeah.
Oh, that Stand, yeah.
I don't think
and it also.
I kept thinking about Salem's Lot.
I don't think The Stand is a bad adaptation at all. I don't like that they condensed two characters into one for the first half of it. I don't think it's bad. Certainly the CGI at the very end hurts, but it's such a bad. It's the worst part of the book anyway. The Hand of God scene is just awful. So I think it's decent.
There's no way they could ever make that into one film, which is what they were trying to do for a long time. So, and
Romero was trying to do it at one point.
Yeah.
No, you have to take the It approach and do it as at least a two-parter, at minimum. But probably your best bet for The Stand would be to do a limited series and just do 15 episodes or something.
Yeah, well, it needs to be on like Netflix or something where they can do R-rated. You know what I mean? They don't need to, right?
But they don't do that anymore. Like The Handmaid's Tale, they don't just adapt the book. Then they do that, and then they go, okay, now we have to do season 2.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
And nobody wants The Stand season 2. They want to just see one.
I hadn't been able to get through the second episode of season 2 of The Handmaid's Tale. I love the first season, but
that's the book, So,
yeah.
And they do that a lot now. They adapt the book and then they decide to keep going.
Well, I mean, they did it with Game of Thrones. They're still doing it.
Yeah,
that's what they did with The Terror. They're coming out with the second season, which is wholly created from cloth because the first book is told all in the first season.
Which one?
The Terror. It's based on Dan Simmons' novel, which is as big as it, by the way. But it's probably a better novel, to be honest. Well, it's definitely a better novel. That series, though, they sped through those 8 episodes. They could have had twice that length and kept everything.
Do you watch Game of Thrones, Lauren?
I've never seen any Game of Thrones. No. I don't watch a lot of television. Do you think
I love that show.
Yeah, love Game of Thrones.
And in fact, a lot of people complain about the last season, and I thought last season was the best season because because they weren't tied to the books, and so it actually moved like real quick, and they really, it was all killer, no filler. They got right to the point, and sometimes I feel like it gets weighted down because they have to follow the book. But I thought the last season, just one after the other, especially by the end of the episode, the end of the season, I was just like, wow, this is amazing.
My favorite part of that whole season was when Samuel, they kept doing the mashup of him cleaning out the bedpans and then serving the soup over and over again. It was so funny to me, man. I watched it so many times.
Yeah.
It's like, shit, your food looks just like your shit. Your shit. It's shit. It's all shit.
Yeah.
In and out.
Roland666 in the chat says that The Stand has been picked up by the Paramount Channel for a 10-part miniseries sometime in 2020.
For a long time, they were trying to get Ben Affleck to direct it as a movie, but
he also says that The Talisman is being turned into a film by Josh Boone.
Yeah, I just read that.
By Spielberg's company.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah. When's Netflix bringing back Golden Years?
Ooh.
That ain't happening.
Kingdom Hospital season 3.
That's another show I could never get into. I tried.
But the Kingdom, the Trier films they're based on are awesome.
Yeah. And he won't do the third one because the main actor died. So he's like...
Yeah. But isn't that so weird that Stephen King just grabbed credit for something that already existed and no one calls him out on it?
Well, apparently Rose Red was supposed to be a movie that Spielberg's company made for the theater, and then it just ended up as a made for TV thing. So And Rose Red is taken straight from the Winchester Mystery House, which is an hour and a half north of me, which got turned into a horrible movie this year, Winchester.
Yes. Have you been to the house?
Yeah. It's not that cool.
Really?
I mean, it's nice, but you have to pay for separate tours. So it's not like one tour takes you around the whole place. If you want the basement tour, you got to pay $20. You want the inside of the house, you got to pay another $20, and so I'm sure it's more money now. But I mean, it's cool to go one time, but I could never be one of these people that goes, multiple times a year. It's not that scary.
Yeah, it seems like a wasted opportunity. That sounds like it could have been a really good movie.
Yeah.
And that was one of my least favorite films of the year that I've seen.
Apparently, they only had Helen Mirren for like 3 days.
It shows. It shows big time.
Yeah, but they put the whole marketing around her.
Yeah, of course. You have to. You got Helen Mirren in your fucking film. You got to. And so,
look how tiny that bed is. That bed is they're both in.
I know. That's what I was saying.
So tiny.
Have you guys ever been to a Shakey's Pizza? Me either. I don't know if you noticed they went from a pizza place to burger.
Drive-in. Yeah.
License to Drive was also the first movie I ever saw where they started doing the sort of repetition with the editing. Like, I don't know if you're at the part, but when the car goes out of control and they pull into that, they screech to a halt in the parking lot and they show the car park and then it cuts and they show the car park again. That sort of double repetition of editing. That was the first time I ever saw that kind of, I wouldn't say it's slick, but it's trying to be like super cool,
It gives you like another angle of it.
No. Yeah, but it like repeats the same.
Yeah.
It's not cutting, so it's fluid. It's like show it again,
And then you have like John Carpenter's Vampires, where during the action sequences they try and do that, but it just comes off as like I can't follow anything.
Had to grab me some Micanax.
There you go.
Is that from the Walmart dollar bin?
Actually, from the Kroger 10 for $10 bin.
Oh, wow. What are they protesting?
Oh, I think she's like some activist, right? And she's
right. I didn't know if we even got specific. Like, damn it, I'm wearing a beret, and I'm gonna protest.
Welcome to Portland.
Is that where this is? Portland?
No.
Oh.
Because anytime there's a protest, there's a good chance it's Portland.
Do we have a location for this movie? Is it Michigan?
Yeah, let's all guess and then find out where it actually is.
I'm gonna Google that. Where does License to Drive take place?
I thought the grandpa license plate was California.
Really?
It definitely was shot in California. It looks like California, but I think it's.
I was gonna say
Illinois.
East Coast. Yeah, I was gonna say Illinois. I go with that.
It was filmed in Los Angeles, yes, of course. Oh my goodness, thank God. So there was supposed to be a sequel and make it a trilogy. The second one was supposed to be called License to Fly, and the third one is going to be called License to Dive. I'm so glad we sat those two out.
Well, since this first film already dove.
Man.
Our audience needs to be embarrassed.
So 20th Century Fox is developing a female-driven reboot. Okay, so here's what's going to happen with that.
Oh, good God.
No, don't worry, because Disney now owns it. So it'll be a made-for-Disney movie, like Adventures of Babysitting.
Can Paul Feig direct? That's all I request. I want to see lots of improv. No script. It's just Kristen Wiig winging it the whole time.
Yeah.
But oddly, Corey Feldman will still play his role.
So it takes place in Southern California, which is interesting because the film feels more like Ohio or Michigan than it does Los Angeles.
Yeah, I thought so too.
There's so little like traffic that they have to deal with.
That's what the movie should be. License to Drive, but he pulls out into traffic, and there's an hour and a half of that.
Yeah,
he just stopped. That's it.
Well, see, that's how Kevin Smith would do it, and then they'd have to have a conversation in the car for an hour.
A conversation
about like something disgusting, like cum or something. They like,
yeah, it'd be like threesomes and Battlestar Galactica.
I think License to Drive would be a great show for the that podcast. How did this get made?
That's a great podcast. One of my favorites.
Interesting. It says for the VHS version, Nia Peoples' song "Trouble" was replaced by "New Sensation" by NXS.
Sounds like they spent more money for video.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny though, because like the cop has got him, no license, a semi-comatose girl in the trunk, and he's like, "Tonight's your lucky night, guys. We gotta go."
Yeah.
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 I love this. I love this drunk guy.
So the director really didn't go on. He got License to Drive because he directed a couple episodes of the Wonder Years, and then he didn't do any other movie. He just did Erie, Indiana, Jag, and Smallville, and Heroes.
I mean, this didn't lead to a real career?
No.
That's a shame.
That sounds like a working director to me. I mean, that's making a living in the industry, right?
Well, I mean, we should be talking about him in the same breath as, you know, Scorsese, you know, Spielberg, you know, the greats.
Well, I'm curious.
Roth,
you know, Wynorski, you know what I mean?
There is some directorial flourishes, but I almost wonder at this point. I think Heyman and Feldman were directing the film, and they told them where to put the camera.
It would explain a lot.
He's got lemons on it. Oh.
A film like this, though, like this is basically the same film as Adventures in Babysitting, really, at its core. But it's like this is just obnoxious about everything.
Yeah, it's the same formula as a lot of films in the 80s. Fish out of water type.
Yeah. So Corey Haim he's an inch smaller than Heather Graham, and it shows because when they're dancing on the top of the car, he is shorter. At least they didn't have to go with the apple box like Tom Cruise.
Oh man, he just threw up in the car. You want a timestamp, Cameron?
I don't have the DVD hooked up, so I'm just going off my memory. Going off what you guys say.
Cam, I'm going to choose to believe that you just said, I don't own this movie. I'm sorry.
No, you have to understand, I'm a nostalgic collector. So
Yeah, he has a 35 millimeter print of this. Come on.
No, I don't have that. I did have one. I did have a 35 millimeter of Teen Wolf a long time ago. That was amazing.
Cool.
The good news is we only have 20 minutes left.
Oh, is that it? I'm going to get a refill.
Don't forget, we're going through the entire end credits.
Yeah, then we're going to watch the commentary.
So there's a final scene where we talk about the Corey Initiative.
What's
What?
Never mind.
I don't know how anybody with a beating heart could not love this movie.
Let me work on that for you. Love is a rare and beautiful thing, because I see it on something like this. Crime.
You know, you're an atheist, but I don't know how you can not watch this movie and be like, there is a divine creator out there who put all of these people together to create this film at this time for us to enjoy. I mean, if this movie does not prove that God exists, I don't know what.
So you're telling me that if God was in charge of film production, that Twilight Zone the movie would have ended with Vic Morrow and 2 kids dead, but this thing, everyone came out unscathed?
No, I think
there's your proof of the divinity.
Do you have a favorite film that Haim and Feldman were in, that where you thought they were good?
Together?
No, just any film where you thought they were good in any film.
I like the final chapter. Obviously, I don't think he's particularly great in it, but he's, as a kid actor, he did what he needed to do for the film, and the film maintains its tone even through him, so that's good. Haim is tougher. I don't particularly love Silver Bullet, so I'd have to really review his extensive and illustrious filmography.
Which you're not going to do, so.
Frankly, I'll be busy shoving toothpicks under fingernails. That's good.
I think if they were both alive today, it would have been interesting if they had been the 2 guys in the first Saw movie in the bathroom, like arguing with each other.
You know what? Lionsgate could have afforded them too.
Probably.
They made that film cheap, but they would have done it for the opportunity to be in the theatrical.
Well, I think they saved a lot of money having the screenwriter be one of the guys. So,
yeah. Well, Winnell's pretty damn good in that film, in that role.
Oh yeah. I still need to see Upgrade. I hear fantastic things. So.
I really liked it.
Yep.
I mean, it's no License to Drive, but it was pretty good.
I can't remember. Are there deleted scenes on the DVD, Piz?
I don't think so. I think there's just interviews, maybe a commentary.
Yeah. Lauren, you look confused and puzzled.
I mean, to each their own, and so there are people out there that actually really legitimately love this as film, not just as nostalgia or not just as cynical nostalgia. That's great. I don't mean to take anything away from anyone, but honestly, just cards on table. I'm not even pretending to hate this. I really hate this.
Do you have a favorite 24-hour film that takes place long into the night? That like this, like Adventures of Babysitting does it. The After Hours does it. Do you have like a favorite like that?
Not a comedy, because I'm not big on comedy to begin with. Miracle Mile. And actually kind of funny because Miracle Mile kind of follows this formula too. It is definitely the escalating, the situation gets worse and worse and worse and worse. But instead of playing it for laughs, it plays drama.
I agree. A Miracle Mile totally ripped this movie off.
I believe Miracle Mile didn't come out a year before this. But maybe they got a hold of the script. That was long.
I think it probably was.
A Deep Star 6 Leviathan situation if there ever was.
Well, remember, in 1988, we got Like Father, Like Son, Vice Versa, Big, and 18 Again. And then that was followed up by Dream a Little Dream. So I think that's the big flaw, is that they were the fifth one out.
What do you guys think about When a Stranger Calls? You guys fans of that movie?
Yeah, I mean, the common thing is the first half hour is excellent, then it just dies, and then it comes back in the last 5 minutes.
Right.
I mean, I got that collector's edition that came out of England, and it's really good. And they have the original short, which is just basically the first 30 minutes, you know. Mm-hmm. And Fred Walton, I mean, he directed one of my favorites, which is April Fool's Day. So I kind of have a soft spot for him. But the sequel is pretty good. I mean, it's not great, but it's better than it has any right to be.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think of it?
I feel about the same way. It's been a while since I've seen it, but you know, the opening is very good, and then it kind of turns into like a cop, you know, police procedural kind of thing, and then But I think what they did with the sequel was like you said, it was pretty good. But I mean, I like Jill Sholin in just about anything. So
yeah.
And I thought it was kind of interesting too that like the killer was like this, like he could throw his voice. He was like a ventriloquist, and like he painted himself into the background. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really bizarre.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it really any bizarre than Larry Cohen's film Uncle Sam, where he's like chasing after someone on stilts?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at Jay shaking his head. You sat through Uncle Sam, Jay?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a I guess 4th of July was when he break that one out.
Yeah. That's a William Lustig, Larry Cohen. And then on the commentary, they say, "Oh, that cookie looks fantastic, by the way, Jay." On the commentary, they go, "Well, we only had him on stilts because we thought we'd never seen that in a movie before. Like, there was no logical reason except let's give people a new image of a killer chasing somebody with stilts."
Did you see the When a Stranger Calls remake?
No,
because they basically took the opening of the old When a Stranger and made it the entire movie. I actually don't think it's bad.
Now, my problem with it was the again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. But the trailers seemed to show that the kids lived, and I didn't like the fact that they gave that away. Like, at least give me some suspense.
All right,
I mean, I always thought I haven't seen the short that's on the Blu-ray, but it's. I mean, I know it's the first 30 minutes of the movie before Carol Kane was cast, but that opening of When a Stranger Calls is that's what you call a senior thesis film project, where you just get an A and you graduate with honors. It's just so well done, and it's self-contained, and it's very much like, I mean, you can see that's the influence of Drew Barrymore and Scream. Let's have an isolated set piece at the beginning of the movie that most people will consider the best part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I would argue Scream just gets better as the movie goes on, whereas Stranger Calls, that is the best part of the movie.
Right.
Lauren's a fan.
What? I missed that.
We're counting down. We've got 10 minutes left of this thing.
Oh, I see.
You didn't say you drive like a maniac. You just said you drive.
Yeah.
Is this where he's driving backwards?
This is what. Yeah, he can't go forward, so she's like, drive sideways, drive however, just get me there.
Why don't they just call for an ambulance or a taxi or?
Well,
Uber did not exist back then.
Exactly.
They don't have taxis in LA.
Well, Speed, I learned that there's a subway in LA. I had no idea there was a subway in Los Angeles.
And Jason Takes Manhattan, I learned that there's a subway exit in Times Square, so that's pretty good too.
Vancouver is beautiful.
The scary thing is that scene was not shot in Vancouver. They actually set up a fake subway station in Times Square, and like the locals were probably more confused by that than anything else.
That was whenever they showed a film in New York, like there had to be like drug needles all over the ground.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
To be fair.
It was bad, right? I mean, obviously I wasn't living in New York at the time, but
yeah, so pre-Giuliani, really from the time I remember New York through the first year of Giuliani's administration, New York was in pretty ragged shape. I can remember clearly going into the city and there was a garbage strike going on, whereas basically what happened is that the city wasn't paying off the mafia to take the garbage out because the mafia runs the garbage companies. At least they did then. And there was just every sidewalk had mounds and mounds and mounds of trash. If you can only imagine how much trash New York goes through in a day. Most of their trash collection is twice a week, but it had been like 3 weeks in without trash collection.
wow.
Yeah. The rats were in full force.
The rats, nothing. I remember being able to. It sounded like a helicopter was taking off everywhere because of the flies.
Wow.
Yeah, New York had some really, really rough times. I remember going into CBGB's and just going down to the Bowery, and you talk about drug needles on pavement. I saw it. I definitely saw it.
Jay, remember Taxi Driver? What that looked like?
Yeah.
That was pretty real.
like 82nd Street.
So did you grow up in New York, Lauren?
No, I grew up in Jersey, but from the time I was a teen, going to shows in the city. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a rough city for a long time. Giuliani came in and unfortunately cracked some heads to get it done. But then the city's probably too clean today. But it's pretty gentrified. But on the other hand, it's safe.
It's the same thing with Vegas. It's all cleaned up. It's family friendly now.
Yeah.
And that's no fun. Come on.
No, it's not. If you talk to people who actually live there, they want a little bit of the old New York back. They just don't want the danger associated with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, I love Die Hard with a Vengeance, but the geography in that film is so not real. And they make such a big point of it in the plot. That's what's so crazy about it.
She had twins.
5 minutes. And actually, I'm a minute behind you guys, so that means I get to click off a minute early and just miss out.
Oh, Lauren, you can't do that. You can't do that, Lauren.
Yeah, those real babies.
Here comes the best line of the film. What do I need a Buick, right? When I have a Mercedes.
Lauren.
Don't do copyright strike.
It's over.
You're missing all these stingers at the end. Come on.
I was stung once. It was called the movie.
Oof.
The very first car I ever owned was a Cadillac. And it was an 88 Cadillac, as a matter of fact.
Oh wow.
88 Cadillac Seville. It drank gas like nobody's business.
There's a boat?
No, it was the Seville. It was the more compact one. So, but it still drank gas like nobody's. It had a big engine though in it. It had some get up and go.
So I'm actually clearing my browser history because I don't want anyone to be confused that I would have searched for licensed drive information.
Well, the feds will see this podcast and know you were here.
Lord, you're missing out on Billy Ocean.
Yeah.
My dreams.
There's your Volkswagen Rabbit.
Is Billy Ocean the same one who did the song from Jewel the Nile? Where the
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is.
I think so.
Yeah. Where they had Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner, Danny DeVito in white suits in the music video dancing.
Great song.
Well, it did, you know, that kind of music does, like, you know, pick you up and make you leave the theater happy, at least. So. I think License to Drive, Lauren will hate me for saying this, but I think it's a film that, I mean, when you first saw it, Piz, did you like it, like really like it right away? Or is it one of those films that you just saw a lot and so you learned to like it more as it went on?
I think I liked it right from the start, and I rented it many times. Not on the same level as The Lost Boys, but I mean, it was right around that time of, you know, the two Coreys could do no wrong in my book. And I don't know. I just thought the movie was fun, good clean fun. Thank you for that new super chat, Jerpin. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for watching one of the greatest films ever. I agree, Jerpin. I agree.
Yeah, I voted for License to Drive, so
I'm gonna say of all the movies that we've done live commentaries for, this is probably the best one.
quality wise, yeah.
Quality wise for sure. Yeah. You know. And that, well, second to The Lost Boys.
Didn't you guys do They Live a year ago?
Did we do They Live?
Yeah.
Gosh, I can't remember. Let's check out the soundtrack here. Great songs on this soundtrack.
They even have Strangers in the Night. I mean, to pay for Frank Sinatra.
I know, exactly. This was an expensive movie.
I'm guessing in that time the soundtrack was probably more important than it is now. Music was probably more important. Now it's just like, it's some fucking fist pumping bullshit.
Well, soundtracks back then sold huge. I mean, if you remember going to the warehouse and picking up the LPs and stuff, things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh goodness, people! That we've just wrapped up watching License to Drive.
And with the unprecedented first time, we're going to start it over and do it again.
Let's do it again. I say we do it again. Lauren, are you up for that?
Oh, he's gone.
Gosh. Check. Good times. You guys picked it. We watched it. There you go. End. I remember that. The street sign. Good stuff. Good, clean fun for the whole family. Let's see, what are the extras on this release? We've got a Corey Haim interview, a Corey Feldman interview, a commentary, a deleted scene, 2 trailers, 2 TV spots, and the screenplay.
That's what you call a special edition. That's
very nice.
That's more than what Scream Factory sometimes gives. So.
Well, I've already got my Green Inferno, a Scream Factory Blu-ray pre-ordered. So,
are they doing that really?
Yep.
Yeah.
A new hour-long interview with Eli Roth.
There's something with that relationship with Eli Roth and Scream Factory, man. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that.
It's very, very incestuous.
It's like the snake that eats its own tail.
Who's ready for Dream a Little Dream? You guys up for Dream a Little Dream, Com?
I do not own that movie.
I have it on VHS.
We have discussed maybe doing a Buffy the Vampire Slayer live commentary in memory of the late Luke Perry. So if you guys would like to see us do a Buffy the Vampire Slayer live commentary, let us know. And we may do that.
It's either that or 8 seconds, but Buffy would be more fun.
Was he in 8 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 8 seconds. I was thinking of 8mm for some reason. He definitely was not in that.
That'd be amazing if he was the Nicolas Cage role. Yeah, Schumacher missed out on that one.
He did.
No, for a while, Luke Perry, he was in a John McNaughton film. He was in Oz for a couple seasons. I mean, he really tried to break out of the 90210 mold.
Yeah.
Well, he was in that Riverdale show, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like even currently,
right?
So that's a pretty big show. I haven't watched it. It seems like it's not my style of show, but popular at least.
Okay, so let's do some final thoughts here on License to Drive. I'm gonna leave the best praise from Lauren for last. Stingray, thoughts on License to Drive?
It's just a fun romp. I'll call it a romp.
There you go.
Just a fun for any time. Just throw it on, have a good time. If you're in a bad mood, throw on License to Drive. And I'd like to try Shakey's Pizza if it still exists.
Cameron, thoughts on License to Drive?
I do think it's fun. I think the cast comes at it and brings a lot of energy to it. It is nostalgic for me, but it's also kind of sad if you think about it, because it is the height before it all came crashing down. It never got higher than where it is at this point. Right. So it's great to see it at that, but it reminds you of that Hunter S. Thompson quote, right? Of seeing the wave break and roll back. Yeah. And it's kind of like what this is, where it's like the 80s were moving in a certain direction, and all of a sudden it stopped and everything rolled back and stayed in the 80s, which I'm sure for Lauren is like great. But I have very fond memories of 86 to 92. I thought that was a great fun time to grow up. So,
Lauren, your thoughts on License to Drive?
So I have not seen the film since its original release, and I can say that it definitely has given me a greater appreciation of ISIS decapitation videos. There's nothing fun about this movie, really. It's just all nostalgia. It is not good, and I think that the audience voted on it because they knew it would be painful and funny to watch us suffer. I think there should be a term which is License to Drive denialist, which is for those people who claim the film is actually good. I think we never need to go anywhere near this again. I think every copy could be stricken from existence, and that wouldn't qualify as censorship, but it would be simply mercy for mankind.
Everything that Lauren said, opposite that, and that's how I feel about License to Drive.
Yeah, Jerk Pan says he totally disagrees, Lauren.
And I'm heartbroken that he doesn't agree.
I think
Max Punishment said he's lost a lot of respect for you.
But yeah, License to Drive, for me, it brings back a lot of memories. It was a movie I rented a lot growing up. The two Coreys could do no wrong in my book. It's still fun for me today. I enjoyed watching it with you guys.
One thing I remembered, Bordello of Blood was one thing Corey Feldman did like later on that was somewhat successful.
Did that make money? I thought it tanked.
Well, I mean, it came out in theaters, I guess.
Yeah, it tanked big time, but it was a theatrical release.
Well, what could that budget possibly have been?
It's unbelievable to think that of everybody in the cast for this film, Heather Graham had the biggest career. Drugstore Cowboy, Boogie Nights, even Two Girls and a Guy probably made more money in this movie. So. Yeah. But she looked great with her Israeli boyfriend at the beginning of the film.
Her 45-year-old Israeli boyfriend. Who has a fucking Lamborghini? Give me a break. You're picking up a high school girl in a Lamborghini? Come on.
He says something like, Mercedes, I do not want to perspire.
See what's going on out in the chat tonight. Verisimilitudes here. What's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Toffee20 says, can you do the thing? That'd be a good commentary for sure.
Have we not done that yet?
Nope, we've not done it. Nope.
That would definitely be a good one.
Jacob McCullum says people like Abel Ferreira and Larry Fessenden can still find the little nooks and crannies of New York that are still grimy.
By the way, it's come out that Rosario Dawson is dating Cory Booker, and so Twitter has now deemed her the next first lady.
Ah.
Can you get behind Rosario Dawson as the next first lady?
Sure. Roland666 says Vestron Video's new releases have been leaked online. Candyman 3 and a double feature of Ilsa of the SS. I think those were already announced. Are there other titles that have leaked, Roland?
Yeah, I saw something online the other day saying Vestron's been pretty quiet lately.
Yeah, Vestron has been pretty quiet lately because of Lionsgate's got the new Hellboy movie that they're putting a lot of emphasis on, and they've got another big theatrical movie coming out pretty soon that they've got putting a lot of emphasis into. So, but yeah, Steve says, how about a Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 commentary? That wouldn't be bad. Lauren, your thoughts on Chainsaw Massacre 3?
I like it. It's kind of the franchise pick out of the bunch. I do a commentary with on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Do 3 and 4 back to back?
No.
Only if Matthew McConaughey was with us.
I would do it in reverse order though. I'd do 4 and then 3 in that order. I don't think you want to end on 4. I really don't. I think that's a mistake.
Let's see. Jacob McCullum says he's been requesting Fast Time for years. We put it up for the vote, man. It just didn't win. Steak Sauce says, hey, yo, how's it going, Steak Sauce? How are you?
I don't think a lot of the audience has probably seen it to vote for it.
That could be true. But they clearly had seen License to Drive.
They were just hoping Rambo would have to come for this one.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. Well, I guess we can call it a night. Lauren, I hope you have a good rest of the night. I hope you don't drink yourself into a stupor and, hopefully you'll be okay. Are you going to be okay? Are you going to be okay?
Oh, I'll be fine. But just watch your mail.
I've got some phone numbers I'll send you if you have any problems.
The 9 line, 1-800-999-9999.
Yeah, but the problem is they shouldn't have an answering machine to that line.
That would be sad if they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, we're not available to take your call right now.
Yes.
Important calls at this time.
Yeah. We'll get back to you later if you're still with us. Oh, goodness. So Lauren is going to be okay. He Lauren suffered through it. Not his favorite movie, but he suffered through it because you guys picked it. We watched it. So, but want to thank everybody out there for tuning in. Thank you everybody for watching License to Drive with us. Thanks you to everybody who voted for License to Drive.
Thank you. Thank you for voting for License to fucking Drive.
If your pick was not, Jerpan has got the hashtag Pray for Lauren going. But if your pick did not get picked, keep your eyes peeled for our next Viewer's Choice live commentary, and maybe your pick will get picked. But yeah. All right, until then, you guys have a great night, a great week, and we will see you here next week live on the Sausage Factory YouTube channel. You guys have a good one. Peace.
Get out of my dream.